Steve Jobs built Apple from a garage into one of the most valuable companies in the world. But how did he do it? What made him think differently, act differently, and revolutionize entire industries? What if I told you that the same lessons that made him a genius could change your life too? Stick around, because these 5 life lessons from Steve Jobs will not only inspire you, but might just shift the way you approach success, failure, and your future. Steve Jobs wasn't just a brilliant entrepreneur, he was a visionary. He transformed the way we communicate, work, and even listen to music. But what's even more fascinating is how his mindset shaped everything. Jobs wasn't just interested in creating the next big product. He was obsessed with creating a legacy, changing industries, and making an impact that would resonate for decades. His success didn't come by accident. It was built on a foundation of powerful principles. Now it's time to take a closer look at 5 powerful lessons from Steve Jobs that could change your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a creator, or someone just trying to figure out your next move, these lessons are bound to shift your perspective and challenge the way you think about success. Lesson 1. Follow your passion. Even if it doesn't make sense at first, Steve Jobs once said, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do." When Jobs dropped out of college at just 19 years old, most people thought he was throwing away his future. After all, college is the place where we're told we learn the skills that will shape our careers, right? But Jobs didn't need the typical path. He needed to follow what inspired him. He started auditing classes that interested him, including a calligraphy class that seemed completely unrelated to his future. Imagine this: Steve Jobs, the future founder of Apple, sitting in a calligraphy class learning about the beauty of fonts, letter spacing, and typography. It wasn't practical in the traditional sense, but it sparked his creativity. Here's where it gets interesting. Years later, when Jobs was working on the design for the first Macintosh computer, he implemented the principles he had learned in that very class. The result was a computer with beautiful, crisp fonts that set the Mac apart from every other computer on the market. The lesson? Sometimes you need to follow your passion, even if it doesn't seem practical at first. You never know how seemingly small interests will play a significant role in your future success. It's like planting seeds. You might not see the full picture yet, but those seeds will eventually grow into something powerful. What are you passionate about? How might those passions be guiding you to your future? Lesson 2. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Jobs once said, "That's been one of my mantras. Focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex." While many companies were adding features and making their products more complex, Steve Jobs went in the opposite direction. He understood that real innovation was about taking away the clutter and focusing on the essentials. Consider the iPhone. The iPhone wasn't the first smartphone, but it was the first to simplify the user experience to its core elements. Think about the screen: a smooth, minimalist interface with no physical buttons, no unnecessary distractions. The entire design was centered around simplicity and functionality. This wasn't just about aesthetics. It was about making technology more accessible, intuitive, and user-friendly. Jobs spent months, sometimes years, perfecting the design of Apple products, ensuring every feature, every element was meaningful. If something didn't add to the experience, it was removed. In fact, when he was designing the iPod, he initially wanted to include a lot of extra features. But he kept returning to the idea of simplicity, stripping away everything that wasn't crucial to the music experience. The end result? A product that was not only revolutionary in its design, but also incredibly easy to use. The lesson here is that we often overcomplicate things in our work, in our lives, in our goals. Jobs' philosophy reminds us that focusing on simplicity doesn't just lead to elegance, it leads to clarity. When we strip away the unnecessary, we make room for creativity, focus, and growth. What could you simplify in your own life to create more space for your success? Lesson 3. Trust your instincts, even when others doubt you. When Jobs introduced the iPod in 2001, people laughed. Critics said, "Who's going to spend $400 on a music player? We already have MP3 players." But Steve Jobs wasn't swayed by logic or what others thought. He trusted his instincts. He saw a future where people didn't just want a music player, They wanted a seamless way to carry their entire music collection in their pocket. The iPod wasn't the first MP3 player, but it was the first one that combined sleek design with ease of use. It was simple, intuitive, and, above all, focused on the user experience. Similarly, when Jobs introduced the iPhone in 2007, critics didn't think it would succeed. They said, "Who would want a phone without a keyboard?" Once again, Jobs trusted his instincts. He knew that touchscreens were the future, and the iPhone changed everything. The touch interface revolutionized how we interact with phones and set the stage for the smartphone revolution. When you're in the midst of making big decisions, trust your instincts. Your gut knows things that logic doesn't always see. Even when everyone around you is doubting you, don't be afraid to follow what feels right. Trust your vision. What is your instinct telling you? Is there something you've been hesitant to pursue, even though deep down, you know it's the right move? Lesson 4. Failure is part of success. Did you know that Steve Jobs was fired from the very company he founded? Yes, that's right. In 1985, Apple's board of directors removed him from his role as CEO. For most people, this would have been the end of the road. But Steve Jobs didn't let this setback define him. Instead, he took the opportunity to launch two new ventures, Next and Pixar. Pixar, the animation company he bought, went on to create Toy Story, the world's first fully computer-animated film. Pixar later became a household name, making movies like Finding Nemo and The Incredibles. Meanwhile, Next helped develop technology that would eventually power Apple's new software, paving the way for the next generation of products. In 1997, Apple purchased Next, and Jobs returned to lead the company. From there, he went on to oversee the creation of the iMac, iPod, iPhone, and iPad. He transformed Apple into one of the most valuable companies in the world. The lesson? Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. The most successful people have failed many times, but they use those failures as lessons to grow and adapt. Every setback is an opportunity to learn, pivot, and ultimately succeed. If you've recently faced a failure, don't see it as the end. It might be the beginning of something even greater. Lesson 5. Leave a legacy. Make a dent in the universe. Steve Jobs didn't just want to create products. He wanted to create change. He wanted to make a dent in the universe. He said, "We're here to put a dent in the universe. Otherwise, why else even be here?" Jobs was driven by a desire to change the world. He didn't just want to make money. He wanted to make something that would endure. The iPhone, the iMac, the iPad. These products weren't just about advancing technology. They were about transforming how people live, work, and interact. Think about it. Before the iPhone, we couldn't imagine a world where the internet was always in our pocket, where communication was instant, and where we could have almost any service at our fingertips. Jobs didn't just envision this future. He created it. The question is, what's your dent? How will you leave your mark on the world? Steve Jobs' life wasn't perfect, but his mindset shaped the world we live in today. Follow your passion, even when it seems impractical. Embrace simplicity. It's the key to clarity and innovation. Trust your instincts, even when the world doubts you. Learn from failure. It's a stepping stone to success. Leave a legacy. Think bigger than yourself. What lessons from Steve Jobs do you think will have the biggest impact on your life? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, because more powerful life lessons are coming your way.